Hello and welcome back with me, Chris Stanmore-Major, the Mariner. Now, as a lot of you will know, as well as doing these Mariner videos for YouTube, I'm also the founder of a company called Spartan Ocean Racing and Training. And this little video, I wanted to address a question which we get asked a lot, and I thought the best way of answering this question, instead of writing it out 1,000 times, which never really gets to the base of the thing, is to show you what I mean. So the question that people always ask me is, have I got enough experience to come with Spartan and do an event? And am I going to get trained along the way? I don't know anything about the kind of boats you have. Are you going to train me as we're going along? So I thought we could answer that today. And the best place to do that is here in the boatyard in St. Lucia. We're in Rodney Bay in the IGY boatyard, and we've got Challenger out of the water here. And I thought it was an interesting opportunity to see what exactly is it that we like about these boats. Why do we have these Volvo 60 open 60 boats? And is it really a kind of boat that you can jump on board and come and sail with us? So right behind me here, this is, you can see what I've chosen today. We've got a J24. Now this is the kind of boat that a lot of people know. Thousands of these boats worldwide. They've been, I think this was started in 1977, so same as me. About 1,500 kilos all up. And you can see now we've got a keel down here. A little bit free advertising for Body Holiday in St. Lucia. We've got a keel down there. I don't know much about J24s, but I'm guessing there's probably 500 or 600 or 800 kilos in the keel there. So the boat has a lot of forces trying to hold it upright when a big gust comes or something like that. The keel's got so much weight that it points the boat back upright. A weeble wobbles but never falls down. That's what sailboats are all about. And a boat like this will probably go right over, flat against the water. I'm sure some of you have had that experience. If you have in a J24, put it in the comments below. I'd love to hear about that. There's always things to be learned from other people's misery. But this kind of boat, once it goes much beyond flat to the water, once it goes beyond 90 degrees, it's getting pretty treacherous. And this kind of boat is not really meant for offshore racing. In fact, most offshore racers won't allow boats that are less than 30 feet, or 33 feet, I think is actually the rule. So now over here, in a little bit of contrast, we have Challenger. Challenger draws about 15 feet, and it was kind of funny when we came here at the end of last year after the Ark, and the guys were lifting her out of the water. We told them 60-foot boat, yep, no problem, we can handle that. 17-foot wide, yeah, no problem at all. And 15-foot deep. They were kind of a little bit quiet on the phone. They said, yeah, I think it'll be okay. And then as we started lifting it from the water and they saw all this keel starting to come out, they started shaking their heads. And there was a 15-minute bit where they said, I don't think we can put it on stands. The reason for that is that at the bottom down here, we've got 7,800 keels, 7,000, only one keel, 7,800 kilos of lead, which is acting as a massive lever arm to stand the boat upright. That weight alone, if it was down there on the J24, well, the J24 would sink, but if it was able to take it, it still wouldn't have the same ability that this weight does with Challenger, because the keel is so shallow. Once you mate that 7,800 kilos to this enormous fin, you can see we've got some massive forces at play. It's always interesting being in the yard like this and getting the boat out onto high stands, because you start to get a feel for the entire size of what's going on here. And then going high above us here is this 90-foot rig. So has this answered the question of, can you, with your experience and your kind of sailing, come with us? Well, I think it has. We decided that we wanted to have these kind of boats because we wanted to be as safe as possible. And this configuration, this kind of boat, means that we can go out into the open ocean and have some measure of certainty that what's going to come is not going to be too scary for us. We all want to go out on the water and learn, but we don't want to be out on the water and freaking out. So the next thing is, will my experience be enough for me to come on this boat? Well, I think so, because the whole point of Spartan, I think it's, hang on, I've got the wrong chance there, it's on the back, can you see back there? It says Spartan Ocean Racing and Training. And that's the point, is we want to train people, and we want to train them not necessarily to drive Volvo 60s, that's the platform that we're going to learn on. What we want to teach is for people to be safer, and that involves developing seamanship skills. Let's go on board on the deck and let's have a see what it's like up there. And I guess the first thing is, no, this is probably not like your boat. It's like a race boat. If you've ever been out racing on anything around the cans, it's obviously purely dedicated towards the racing. It's not got anything here for comfort whatsoever. But the point is, when we go out and do these trips with Spartan, these events, what we want to do is we want to focus entirely on seamanship. So having comfort on board is not really necessarily what we need. What we want to do is have a nice environment where we can learn, and every evolution that we do on the boat is all led by the crew. So it's not a case of you're required to be here and then know how to do the jobs. Before we do anything, there's going to be 2 days of training. First day of training is purely safety and getting to know a little bit about the boat, where things are. Second thing is we go out on the next day of training and we go and learn exactly how the boat operates at sea. We do man overboard training, we do a crash tack to recover somebody who's in the water, we look at how the life-saving gear works, we get into every compartment of the boat and understand the different parts that are in there. And then by the end of the second day, we've got a feel for the safety, we've got a feel for roughly how the boat works, and we're ready to go out and begin our event. Now, 50% of the events that we do are voyages, so we set off onto our voyage, and there's no requirement, of course, to then be pushing anything hard or getting things up and down quickly. If we're doing racing, obviously it is going to be into that, but we recognize that we're here with new crew, and we recognize that we are here to teach. So every evolution that we do, we start very quietly, we start very slowly, we introduce what's going to happen, and we give lots of time and lots of warning. Also, if people don't want to be involved in every aspect of the sailing, maybe you have no great desire to be on the grinder over here, you like to helm, we can divide things up so that works. The main thing I want to try and convey with this little video is the fact that this environment is a learning environment, and to make it a good learning environment, it has to be safe, and it has to be a space in which people feel there's time to learn. And I'd like to point out one other key ingredient for the things that we do is that we don't shout. It seems so basic to say it, but shouting is not a necessary part of sailing, although I've got to say the first 10 years I was sailing, until I was in charge, it did seem to be that basically a boat needed sails and a keel and a rudder and somebody shouting. But one of the rules we have with all the skippers and crew that we work with is no shouting. Now if it's something unsafe, okay, we're going to raise our voices because it's a point of safety, but there's nobody sending you forward like Captain Blood and you've got to get this done and get that done. Things go at your pace, and even the racing goes at the crew's pace. One of the greatest problems we have when we go racing is that the rating certificate, the IRC rating certificate, sees a boat that can do 450 miles in a day, which these Volvo 60s have done, in fact 478. It sees a boat that has that performance potential, but you've got a crew on board who are completely new to the boat, and some of them may even be very new to this kind of sailing. So we don't have the ability to push the boat anywhere near its performance, which means that when it comes time for the prize giving, very rarely do we actually win anything, because although we have a boat that potentially could be at the front, we don't have the skills yet to be able to do it as a new and learning crew. So with that all in mind, what it means is it's a safe environment physically, and it's a safe environment emotionally, so that people can develop their skills. They can make some mistakes, no one's going to shout at them, and if we don't come first, that's no problem. Our events are about people enjoying being out on the water, learning about things, and having a good time with boats and developing skills they can take home to their boat and the kind of things that they do, whether that be a J24 or a 50-foot cruising boat with you and your spouse off around the world. And just to give an idea of scale, we're now stood on the back of the boat. Just to put things in perspective, have a look down here. Right down there is the J24. So when two boats are bobbing around next to each other at the dock, part of you may say, well, they're kind of the same, apart from one's a bit bigger than the other. But as we can see from that little example, there's a lot more going on underneath the water than you might have expected. So just before we finish up, we'll have a quick look inside. That's the other big question we get, what's it like inside? And then you'll have all your answers. Okay, now we're down below on Challenger, and a quick look around in here will give you an idea behind me of just quite how stripped out this boat is. Now, when we're at sea, people tend to find this is cozy, but if you're just walking down off your Swan or your Oyster, this is going to look very different. We only have down here exactly what we need. We've got the nav station here, we've got a small galley area over here. Down here on the port side, you see 1, 2, 3, 4 bunks down the back, and then an area underneath where your luggage is. At the moment, all of the lines from the cockpit are brought inside the boat when we leave her, so the bags don't fill up with sediment. If we move down towards the back, here's the top of the engine bay area, and then move into the back to keep all our food and supplies for a long journey. When we're completely full on this boat, we've got 16 people on board. And if we're crossing the Atlantic and we get delayed, which sometimes you do, bad weather or very light weather, it's 16 people for 16 days, 3 meals a day. There's a lot of food required. Same down on the starboard side there, got a bit of extra gear tucked up at the back. Moving forwards, you can see just how massive this boat is, how massively constructed it is. Here, one of the frames, little stringer going forward, and then follow the stringer forward all the way through the boat. You can see it's incredibly strong. Inside here is the toilet area, which again, people say, oh, it's so small. Once people have sailed on the boat, they realize the way that this toilet is positioned with your back against the bulkhead, tucked between the mast and the side of that area, it's very secure, and it allows you to disrobe and put your pants back on afterwards, what have you, if you've got foulies on. It allows you to be comfortable while you do what you need to do. I can tell you that originally the toilet was in this area. It was actually just down in that corner where we now have the workshop area, and as you were sitting on the toilet, you just had this enormous area ahead of you, nothing to hold on to, and that's not uncommon on a race boat. So we've made a few small changes. Up here we've got our spinnakers. I'm sure we've got Janica here and A5 over there. I think the zero might be a code 6 there. All the sails at the front here. People say, can I bring a larger piece of luggage? We don't want you to bring loads of stuff because, of course, the idea is that we're as light as possible when we're racing. When we're doing voyages, it doesn't matter at all. Look at all the space we've got to throw your luggage in here. A lot of people are traveling before they meet us, come on the boat, and then maybe having a holiday in the destination afterwards. So you can put all your extra gear in here, that's no problem at all. Same as when we're racing. The boat, although she's very light for her power, she'll still weigh, with everybody on board and ready to go, she'll weigh about 16 tons. It's not going to really make any difference if you've got an extra couple of kilos of gear. So a massively strong boat. Yes, it's stripped out inside. The interior layout makes a lot more sense when you're tipped over on your side. There's things to grab a hold of everywhere, so there's always somewhere to be safe. And then an incredible view out of here once we get to sea, and you realize that you've overcome the initial hesitancy and you're on a boat which, if we ever go below 10 knots, something is seriously wrong. So, is that like your boat? Maybe, maybe not, but the skills that you develop on this boat mean returning to your boat is a much easier concept, and suddenly you have a little bit of slack in your system to deal with your own boat. You're not right on the edge of what you think is possible. So I hope that little look around on Challenger gives you an idea of what Spartan Ocean Racing is about. Yes, they are racing boats, but we have them because we want to be safe and because we want a great environment so we can learn and not be freaking out all the time. If you feel that you'd like to come and race on board one of these boats, the place to go is down in the description. It's our website, SpartanOceanRacing.com. And we have all sorts of events. The ARC 2019, we have the whole of the Caribbean season. We have voyages going north up to Bermuda and then on to Lunenburg, where we're based. And then in the summer, we have a trip that goes across the Atlantic. And that Atlantic run that we do, the Marconi, it's about $2,500, but you'll be getting from North America to Europe in under 10 days. If this is something you think would be a challenge and be exciting and be an adventure, get in contact with us either through Facebook. You can catch us obviously at info@Spartan Ocean Racing. You can go to the website and check it out for yourself. And if you don't want to do any of those, subscribe and watch what's going on with the Mariner. With a little bit of cajoling from everybody, I've realized that it's great to involve what's going on here on board Challenger as we go into the Caribbean season, because this is where it's happening. We can learn here as opposed to just waiting for the videos of the Open 60. Okay, well, hope that was helpful, and see you in the next one. Cheers.